The NFC West was at the top of the mountain last season, coming in with 3 of the 4 top NFC teams, while also bringing home the Lombardi Trophy. But this is a new season, a new team, and a completely new draft. I'm Imre Kazi. This is the Rough Draft Podcast. We're continuing our 3-round mock series with the NFC West. If you haven't yet, go check out the other divisions that we put out so far. Also, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. To remind you of the structure, we are going to be doing 3-round mock drafts for each of these teams. We'll be using the 1st and 10 mock draft simulator. There will be no trades allowed. We will analyze each pick based on how the board fell to us, and our goal is to make it look different each time. We're trying to put these teams in different scenarios with different picks, different positions, and all that stuff, because guess what? The NFL draft is not going to go the way you expect it to. Every year, draft analysts, the best in the business, go like 6 out of 32 on their picks for these teams. So believe me, these teams do not follow the script that we expect them to. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get as many drafts going and see if we can't find some scenarios that do a lot of different things and show you possibilities for your team. Now, the NFC West happens to hold my Super Bowl favorite for the 2027 season. That's going to be the Los Angeles Rams. It is possible, though, that we do see Shanahan come out with some magic for San Francisco, or maybe the 2026 champs run it back in the Seattle Seahawks. I'm sorry, Arizona fans, and I'm sorry, Dustin, my old co-host, but I do not see Arizona making it this year with their current roster. But never say never, right? This is the NFL. Now, let's start with these drafts. I'm going to pull up the screen now. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, we've done 2 divisions already, so go check those out. And if you haven't yet, check out this awesome mock draft simulator. The team over at 1st and 10 is awesome. I'll actually be recording a video with Metro Sports, who's part of this team. They've done great on this. If you look up here, you can see they've got big boards for 26 through 28, prospect analysis, combine results, all of it. They've got all the team profiles if you want to go check those out, which we will go through during the draft, free agency tracker. And then they've got all kinds of other, trade calculators, prospect evaluators, games if you get bored. And then also the creator tab, where we actually have we are on the creator tab with them. We're going to be doing 3 rounds, like I said. We're going to be picking up all these teams that are in the NFC West, and let's get it going. Okay, as expected, Fernando Mendoza goes 1 to the Raiders, and then Arvell Reese. So the Arizona Cardinals are on the board. Arizona has a lot of different needs, to say the least. So on offense, of course, quarterback is a need. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. We will have at least one draft where we go with Ty Simpson, but he'll have to fall to us technically because we're not trading. So they might go ahead and go quarterback here. I could see them. They did add some running backs in Tyler Algier and to this backfield, so I don't think that they're going to go running back early, at least. So maybe later on in the draft. Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Kendrick Bourne. It's a solid receiver group. I think you could add one, but probably in the later rounds, like I said. But the big question mark is right here in their O-line. I think their right tackle obviously needs to be upgraded. Elijah Wilkinson was fine last year, but he's not great necessarily. I think that it was one of those things where he filled in for an injured player and was serviceable, to say the least. I don't think that he should be a starter necessarily, though. Also, they could help in the interior a little bit. They're going to have to address the O-line maybe once or twice. On defense, I think this is actually a pretty solid defense overall, technically. Josh Sweat, that's weird. I don't think he actually plays left defensive end. He actually, to me, plays will linebacker, and Darius Robinson plays left defensive end, but whatever. So basically, they could add depth at all of these positions. They could get some more edge rushers. They definitely have to go with linebacker at least once, especially in this deep class. So we'll put a linebacker there at least once, or maybe twice, depending on who we go with early. I think that their secondary is pretty good, except for Andrew Wingard. I think they could upgrade that. I do think, they have a couple guys. Keaton Crawford, I liked a lot, but he's a later round guy. Max Melton should be on starting. I don't know why he's not, unless it's due to injury. But yeah, so this is the Arizona Cardinals. Let's go ahead and make a pick. I think the biggest 3, so with the Arizona Cardinals during our drafts today, I'm going to either go edge once, linebacker once with Sonny Styles, and I'm going to go offensive tackle once. So to start this one off, I believe David Bailey is the betting favorite. So we're going to go David Bailey to start it off and give them another rotational edge, a guy that can be in a rotation opposite Josh Sweat and doesn't have to necessarily be on the field because they have Zaven Collins on rundowns. I think that might be good for him. So let's go with David Bailey here. Next up, the LA Rams. I told y'all, my favorites for the Super Bowl, and that's because they're such a complete team. If you look across the board, now we have to have a conversation about the Puka situation. I know that that's going on. I hope that he comes back, but I also think they need to address wide receiver at least once, because right now Mumford is their starter. Jordan Whittington's their, a starter for them. I think, they run a ton of 12 personnel, so they take those guys off the field, but why not give them a receiver that they could say, hey, let's run some 11 personnel and leave these guys on the field. So it'll be a talking point for us. But Puka, that conversation has to happen because I just don't know what's going on. He is in rehab currently at the filming of this, but we still have a lot of time before the season starts. And then defensively, I actually really like their defense. I think that they're really strong. I think, of course, you could always add rotational pieces up front because Braden Fisk, Poona Ford, and Colby Turner are really good, but I don't know that I want to have these other guys in the game as much. We could add somebody at the defensive tackle spot and the defensive end spots here. Byron Young is awesome, and Josiah Stewart, great. A group right here between Byron Young, Josiah Stewart, and Jared Verse. The linebackers, they get the most out of them, to say the least. I mean, these are much later guys, but I think we could add a linebacker. I think that's a position that we could see needing. And then I really don't know that they secondary players. I mean, Jalen Watson came in. I thought Emmanuel Ford played well to end the season. Trey McDuffie came in on trade for that 29th overall pick. And then Quentin Lake, Cam Curl, and Cam Kinchins are all really good. I think they could add a safety and just a guy that kind of does all these positions, and you get to use him as like a very big chess piece, because that's really possible. I could see them doing that, but really I don't think that's until maybe later on in the draft. So that's the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's go ahead and draft for them. Like I said, Jordan Tyson is number 15 on this board, which is crazy to me. I really like going wide receiver for them because I think they're in a win now situation. I don't know that Stafford's coming back after they win the Super Bowl. I don't know that he'll come back. There's reports that Sean McVay might not come back, and we got questioned on those reports, but we looked them up and made sure, yes, there are reports that Sean McVay, if they win the Super Bowl and Stafford leaves, like that is it for him. So, why not get a guy that can win now, help you win now? Now, the right tackle spot, something we didn't really mention, I'm sorry, is Warren McClendon Jr. and Rob Havenstein retired. Warren was good last year when he had to come in, but I don't know that he's the right tackle of the future. So I could see you going right tackle. He was actually on our first mock draft. We went right tackle for them. I'm going to go wide receiver here because I personally would do that, but we're going to obviously do different things. So maybe we get the tackle next time around, and we'll do different scenarios like I've been talking about. Now, going to San Francisco. San Francisco is a common place to see offensive tackle and wide receiver. Now, the reason they need a wide receiver is because Ricky Pearsall's always hurt. They lost Brandon Ayuk. Like they lost Jawan Jennings, and they brought in Christian Kirk and Mike Evans. I think that's fine, but I don't know that I'm going to go into every draft expecting to get a wide receiver in round 1, 2, or 3, just depending on where we get them. And then on the offensive line, Trent Williams, the conversation about Trent Williams is interesting because right now I don't know what they're going to do. They obviously have to figure out how to get him paid, or he will not be on the team next year. So he's a big turning point in how this team fits together. Offensive tackle makes sense. Colt McKivick is actually a swing tackle. He's played left tackle and right tackle, so you could go right tackle and put him at left tackle. That wouldn't be a problem. So you could go with either side. I don't know if we're going to do that here, if we're going to go wide receiver. And also, this is the team that had the lowest amount of sacks last season. So they will need a starting edge at some point. And I know they have Michael Williams, who they just drafted, and they have Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa stays hurt, and Michael was not the guy we were hoping he would be, and he got hurt last year. So adding to that room is going to be important. They did bring in Osa Odigizua from the Cowboys. I really like Alfred Collins. I really like CJ West, 2 sophomores basically next year. And then in the back end, I think they could add a safety to this team. I think it's funny that Nate Hobbs is a backup. I actually really like Nate Hobbs, but I think Upton Stout's awesome. Renardo Green, I watched him play for Florida State because I'm a Florida State fan. I think he's really good. And then Lenore, of course, is good. So they have some secondary players. I think maybe adding a safety later rounds is an option, but really good group in my opinion. So let's go look at what receivers and tackles are left on the board at the moment. Casey Concepcion, and I love Caleb Lomu. I don't know what the hate for him is. He's, in my opinion, he's a redshirt sophomore that's pro ready, in my opinion. He has great pass blocking movements. Hes a good mover. 4.99 40. Like, check that box. 32.5 vert. That was good. He's not. He's a little bit lighter in the pants, but I think that he's young and he's got upside. I don't love. I get the Tyler Guyton comp, but I think he's more polished than Tyler Guyton was coming out. So I'm a big fan of Lomu. I'm also a massive fan of Casey Concepcion here. I'm going to show you all our board. Casey Concepcion is 15th on our board and Lomu's 14th. So both of those guys are perfect fits in my opinion. Let's go with Lomu. Because I think it's if Trent Williams does not come back, they will go tackle. That is just, they have to go tackle. Now, I don't know if we'll know that before the draft is the only problem. And then the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seattle Seahawks, running back, of course, is a conversation that needs to be had. They do not have depth behind Zach Charbonnet, and Zach Charbonnet is not very good. Like, I know that everybody wants to say, oh, well, he had all those touchdowns. Yeah, he stole all them touchdowns, and I had Kenneth Walker in fantasy, and it pissed me off every week because Zach Charbonnet is not necessarily going to, be a He's not a 1A running back, in my opinion. But, a compliment, sure, he can do that. I think the receiving core needs a player, in my opinion. I don't know that I think Rashid Shaheed is going to be ever going to just ascend. I think Torrey Horton's really good, and there needs to be a Cooper Kupp. Someone has to come in and replace Cooper Kupp at the end of the day. I like Cooper Kupp a lot, but he is not necessarily going to be there for much longer and be good for much longer, unfortunately. Now, the biggest question mark is going to be Anthony Bradford. He's been one of the worst guards in football. Just this side of the interior offensive line is going to be needed to be addressed. So I think that they could do that. Seattle's one of those crazy teams that addresses weird things in the first round. They took Jordan Brooks in the first round. They've always drafted funny. So they're going to have a guy that they love and they're going to draft him earlier than expected. And maybe he'll be really good, because they obviously won the Super Bowl this year. And then on defense, I think Leonard Williams really looked great this year. Byron Murphy looked great. This defensive line just was stacked and played really, really well this year. I like Nwosu. I think that edge is something that they could add because, of course, Leonard Williams is good and DeMarcus Lawrence are good, but they're not pass rushers. They're not going to be upside pass rushers. Now, Derek Hall is a fun name, but I think you go and get, if at one point in this draft, I think you go get a just pass rusher that is only in on pass rush snaps. DPS. Or DPR, sorry. And then in the secondary, they lost a couple players, and I think they could add a safety. I don't think they want to start a Coda, but I think that this secondary isn't as bad as you might think. Now, corner, if you want to go corner early, I've seen it a lot to just upgrade Josh Jobe. Completely understand that. Not going to be mad at you for it. So corner has been one of the biggest picks at this point. I think if we're going to talk about the picks for today, we're going to go corner. We're going to go maybe edge if you're just like, hey, there's an edge here that you really, really want, and he can be a designated pass rusher because this team was good. Interior offensive line, I don't know that I want this early, but I do think wide receiver is an option, especially if like a Casey Concepcion's still on the board or one of those guys. And then I'll probably say we save running back for a couple rounds from now. So Casey Concepcion's on the board. I don't understand why he's on the board. We should probably go there. I also know that cornerback, Chris Johnson's been pushed up boards, but I'd rather, and we've actually, I think both mock drafts for us mocked Brandon Cisse to them because Brandon Cisse is a South Carolina athlete that, played next to Nicky Manwari last year before he got drafted. So I don't see why you wouldn't just add that type of teammate to them. But let's go Casey Concepcion because I don't think he should be here. Now, this is all positions, right? That means did somebody took Ty Simpson? Okay. So we're not going Ty Simpson to Arizona on this one, which is fine with me. Arizona so far has picked David Bailey, so they don't need an edge. Now, offensive tackle. Is there an offensive tackle? No, all the offensive tackles are gone too. Oh no, Maxi Honishore here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna go with Max. They already went. They don't need D-line as much as they do need D-line, but they just went David Bailey. So I don't know if I want to do another front seven guy. They could go safety. I don't think there's a safety here that's worth better than Max. Yeah, no. Okay, so we're gonna go Maxi Honishore. I'm glad he's here because otherwise I don't know that I would have known what to do. Wow, that's a lot of picks. All right. San Francisco here. Let's see. Went Caleb Loma first. Wide receiver at this point is normally really good. I know that 60 is... Oh, he's gone. I was going to say Elijah Surratt. Jeremy Bernard went earlier than I expected. Okay. So Chris Brazel's still on the board, who I like a lot. Now, he's very much in that mold of what they have with Mike Evans, in my opinion. He's not necessarily as big or contested catch, and he's a little bit faster, but like your ex-receiver type is what Chris Brazel is and what you have with Mike Evans. So I don't know that they'll do that. Zachariah Branch is getting a lot of love, and I'm personally not as high on him, but at the same time, I can understand the love because he's just so explosive. He ran a 4.35 40, jumped at 38 in vert, had 20 reps on the bench, like just explosive and athleticism are all there. I just have more worries of like he's such a gadget player, and he was a gadget player everywhere he went. So that's my worry, but I don't think they have a guy that's like this. So it wouldn't surprise me if they went with that because all these guys are vertical route runners, in my opinion. I don't see, they don't really have a player that does this type of thing. So let's go with Zachariah Branch. He makes some sense to me. Also, Malachi Lawrence there, I think could be something. I guess in this draft, we're just going to bet on health and hope that Nick Bosa's healthy so that they get some sacks because otherwise they can't get any sacks. And then we're going to go to the Rams. The Rams went Jordan Tyson first off. They could go with a lot of things. I think adding even depth at edge is possible. There's no right tackle here. There won't be a right tackle anymore to help them there. Don't think they're going quarterback without Ty Simpson being there. D-line. Yeah, the depth on D-line is something. They really do a good job getting the most out of players like Grayson Halton. I think they would get a lot out of him. Josiah Trotter, they might just want a guy that goes and, bumps heads and does a lot as a run defender. I think that they could go there because right now they're playing, Nate Landman and Omar Spites, who I believe Landman came in, but Spites was a UDFA a couple years ago. Josiah Trotter just gives him a different dynamic as a run defender. Grayson Holton also does a lot as a pass rusher, and they get teams in third down often. So let's go with Josiah Trotter and, help their linebacker crew. Malachi Lawrence did go. Seattle, like we said, this might be a spot right here where we go running back. Let's go see what running backs are on the board. I'm a big Mike Washington fan, and I was a Mike Washington fan before he ran the 4-3-3. That kind of just checked this like massive box for me. So I was a big Mike Washington fan before that because I just thought his tape was the best, his size, the things he could do. And you can't really tell that he runs a 4-3-3, but you could think, 4-4-5. That's definitely in his wheelhouse for his size. It was just something that was crazy to me. So Mike Washington's an option. I think safety is an option. Who do we go with? KC? Ooh, so we might go corner here. Corner or safety. Kamari Ramsey. They do love nickel corners, man. Chandler Rivers. I do love Chandler Rivers. But I think Devin Moore or Davison Igbinosun for this team would be fun. Ooh, they play some man, but a lot of it's out of actually zone. And I think Devin Moore is a really good zone. I think Chandler Rivers is the best nickel zone corner by far, but I don't know that they want to add another zone corner with Devin Witherspoon and Nicky Manwari there. So let's go with Devin Moore and give them an outside corner. Okay. Next pick is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. What do we go with? We went Max and David Bailey. Now we're just going to fill out this team and try to make it better, right? How do we do that? Grayson Holton's fun. Connor Liu is a fun player. He was injured this year towards ACL, but this is not a team that's ready to win now. Maxi Hanashore, not ready to play right away, in my opinion. I think he's a project type of player, but at the same time, like he's a good football player. I think you could do the same thing with Connor Liu. I'm actually higher on some other interior offensive linemen. Sam Hecht is a good one. Kalen Rutledge is still on the board because they haven't ranked too low on this, in my opinion. Adding to the offensive line, man, and just getting as much offensive line help is so important, in my opinion, for them. Man. Linebacker 2. What linebacker is on there? Let's see. Deontay Lawson is not my favorite. He's not top 100 for us, or anywhere close to it, technically. Torrin York and Kyle Lewis are good, though. Kyle Lewis would be fun on this team. Let's see. I think, personally, I'm going to go... Connor Liu only plays center, though. And they have... So... Yeah, okay. Let's go with... Man, it feels like a reach because of the numbers here, but Kyle Lewis is not a reach, in my opinion. I think he should be higher. And he gives them a different dynamic. They can use him as a chess piece, playing both safety and at linebacker. I think that's a really fun pick for them. Now, the Rams here, Josiah Trotter and Jordan Tyson. Wow, what a great pickup back-to-back. That's awesome. I have them way higher than their ranks on this. So next up, we could have depth at corner. They have Emmanuel Forbes. Let's see. They could go edge, like I said, add some edge depth. They could add interior defensive line depth, and this is a good interior defensive line class. So let's see who's on the board for that. There's Denied Dennis Sutton. I like him. I know that most people think he's overrated, but he can actually play their 3-4 defensive end at times. Ooh, this is not a pretty board right now. Let's see. Davison Igbinosun. And on offense, we did go wide receiver. We do not need to go right tackle, so it'll be a defensive pick for sure. Let's check out. We went linebacker. Let's go with these positions. Jalen Kilgore is so good, so much fun. They just like adding good players to this team too, because Jalen Kilgore can play some linebacker at times. I mean, he's a big dude, 6'1", like 220, 215. I really want to go edge though. I just don't know Denied Dennis Sutton being their type, but at the same time, Jared Verse is there, right? So why wouldn't he be their type, right? Kieran Crawford is actually probably more their type. This is just too far down. I don't really like these guys down here anyways. For this spot, not in general. That's not nice. Let's go with Denied Dennis Sutton and give them another player. I know people hate his bend and stuff, but dude was a good athlete. Here, actually, watch this. We're going to undo the pick, and I can show you. He ran 4.63. He had a 39.5 inch vert. He does not have the bend and that type of stuff, but the athleticism is there, and I'm actually higher on Denied Dennis Sutton than most people, so yeah, let's go with him. Now, running back, we went with, right? Nope, we didn't. All right, let's go check out the running back position because there's no way they come out of here without a running back. I'm much higher on Katron Allen. And but that's kind of a repetitive to what they have now. Nick Singleton, I cannot get behind with all this crazy stuff. Like he was so good, but now he just runs into the back of his offensive line. Like it's weird. So with Seattle, go safety. We already went corner. Interior offensive line is actually a position that I think has got some depth in this class. They need to go guard. Jalen Farmer should not be this low. He will be moved up. There's no way he stays that low on this board, and I think he's probably our pick. I think he makes a lot of sense. He does a lot of the Emmanuel Pregnon type stuff, so I think Jalen Farmer is a really good football player. We're going to go there. So looking at it, Arizona Cardinals went David Bailey, Max Honshaw, and Kyle Lewis. I think that these are all, foundation pieces that they could use on their team because they need to start building. And then the Rams, they're in a win now situation. They went with Jordan Tyson, who is ready, if he is healthy, is the best wide receiver in this class. Josiah Trotter, who I love and is one of my guys on this class. And then Deniden Sutton, who I actually am higher on than consensus. I think that he is ready to help now, so I think he's a good pick for them too. The next, the 49ers only had 2 picks, Caleb Lomu and Zachariah Branch, basically hitting both of the biggest needs in my opinion, and then missing out on edge. Those are 2 of the 3 biggest needs. We're going to get an edge on this next one, though. The Seattle Seahawks go Casey Concepcion. I've seen a lot of corner there, but we're going to switch it up. We go Devin Moore, and they go Jalen Farmer to add to that interior offensive line, and hopefully they get a new starter. But yeah, I think that was a good draft. I think it was a fun draft. Just remember, everybody, all these teams pick later in the rounds, and there's only 11 total picks between these 4 teams in the top 100. Not very many. Same picks, Fernando Mendoza and Arvell Reese, so we're going to go with Sonny Styles on this one because I said we're going to go with the linebacker, and we're going to go with a offensive tackle. So we're going to go with Sonny Styles here. Okay, so we went wide receiver last time at this pick. Jermon McCoy still being on the board. That's like cheating. He shouldn't be here. Okay, we're going to go Jermon McCoy and just give them a number 1 lockdown corner. I don't care if Trent McDuffie's there. He's going to go play some nickel. Like, the talent is too good for a guy like that. He's going to outplay Jalen Watson, Emmanuel Forbes, and if he doesn't outplay them because he's injured, then you have him next year when, some of those other guys' contracts are up. So Jermon McCoy is so good at football. I think I might get some hate in the comments because of the fact that they don't need him. They have too many corners. Like, I don't care. Jermon McCoy is that good. So that's my reasoning. All right, let's see. 27 here. We're going to go off. We went Lomo here last time. So yeah, we're going to go with an edge or we're going to be going with a receiver. Casey Concepcion is still here, so we could go there. I love Zion Young. I will pound the table for Zion Young. He's better than Mike L. So if it was me, I think Zion Young would be obviously in the pool. KC is in the pool. And then, of course, offensive tackle if we were able to draft one of those. So let's go edge. Let's go Zion Young. He fits perfectly into what they do. And he's an absolute man when it comes to run defense. Okay, so we went last time Casey Concepcion. Now we're going to go with our favorite of we could, I guess, technically also go interior offensive line if one's here. Emmanuel Pregnon already went, so we will not be going interior offensive line. Let's go to the cornerback position. Brandon Cisse, who I'm higher on. I'm not as high on Chris Johnson, but they could go there. I just think they like guys that tackle. They go and they find guys that can tackle, and Chris Johnson to me is kind of soft, so that's not really where I think they go. I think Brandon Cisse, though, on the other hand, is a willing tackler. So run defense, there you go. Bang. See, that's what I like to see. So we're going to go Brandon Cisse. I think he fits better, and, picking his ex-teammate makes some sense. So with Nicky Manwari last year. My gosh, I thought we were going to get Ty Simpson. Okay. What did we do last time with this team? We went Arvell Reese first. We went David Bailey and then Max. And so that means I can't go tackle here. Ooh, that's interesting. R. Mason Thomas is getting a ton of love as just a freakish pass rusher. I think, getting an R. Mason Thomas instead of basically a David Bailey, you're taking, obviously there's some difference in pass rush ability, but that's kind of the same player, especially because you're going to stand him up. He's 6'2", 241. He played a lot of hand in the dirt 4-eye for them, like at Oklahoma, which didn't make any sense. So I think he makes some sense. I don't know. Let's see. Interior defensive line, you could upgrade Roy Lopez if you wanted a nose. I think that, with Christian Miller still on the board, that's an option. I'm not as high on Lee Hunter. Christian Miller's better in my opinion. Peter Woods is better than Lee Hunter. Yeah, we're going to go with R. Mason Thomas. The two top front 7 guys for Arizona at this point. Okay. San Francisco went Zion Young. We're just going to hope that they restructure, I guess, with Mr. Trent Williams on this one. And they're going to go receiver here. There's some receivers on the board too. Wow. Chris Bell is the most interesting of the group for sure. I think Jeremy Bernard has that floor that you like to see, but Chris Bell has like the upside. So we're going to go with Chris Bell and give them a wide receiver. The Rams went with Jermon McCoy. It's more of a luxury pick than anything, but I am such a big fan. They need to go receiver here. And I think Jeremy Bernard just kind of stares at me in the face and says, hey, like, I'm a floor player. I'm ready to play right now. You don't have to worry about the things I can do. and I fit perfectly into this offense where I can play X, Y, and Z and slot and all of it. So Jeremy Bernard might be the perfect pick at this point for them. Okay, Seattle. They went Brandon Cisse on that first one. I don't know where they have Jadarian Price as where his running back ranking is, but we're going to go running back on this one. I think we could go wide receiver. I don't know who's at wide receiver for them. Let's see. Chris Brazzell still being on the board is interesting. Field stretcher. Antonio Williams, I think, would make some sense for them. He could take over that Cooper Kupp role for sure. Skylar Bell could take over that role. Malachi Fields and Chris Brazzell, field stretchers that are bigger. Chris Brazzell also runs a 4.37, so that's pretty impressive. And right now they have Shaheed. They have JSN, who is intermediate. Shaheed's deeper. Torrey Horton, a little bit taller field stretcher. Let's go with Mike Washington. I'm just a fan of his, and I want to give Seattle a running back in one of these drafts, so let's do it this time. Sonny Styles, R. Mason Thomas. We got to go offense here. And it's probably interior offensive line. Keelan Rutledge still being on the board. Like I keep saying, he shouldn't be here. They aren't going to replace their offensive tackle on this one because there's just not an offensive tackle. Oh, Brian Parker, too. Brian Parker II is also on the board. Between these two, that's a tough one. I don't think they need to go. Brian Parker can play both guard and center and sometimes at tackle, in my opinion. So we're going to go there because I just think there's a lot of positions flexibility needs for that team. And then let's go to this next one. Jamal McCoy, Jeremy Bernard. The Rams hitting it really good. Keelan Rutledge on the board. They don't need him. I think about it. Let's see. What do they need? I want them to go. I keep going back to this team and just being like, there are no needs. There are no needs. Every time I run it through my head. They go edge. Denida Sutton was the only edge last time around. So that stinks. Because that's still true. Okay. Let's see. What do I want to do here, guys? What should I do? I don't know. They went corner. The number one cornerback in team need is because it hasn't been updated with the new players there. Running back is an option because Blake Corum is meh. And Kyron Williams is meh also. Yeah, see. Dotson, yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. Look at all these goals, man. They got them everywhere. Okay. Let's go ahead and go with... I don't want to go deny twice. Did they go linebacker? They didn't. Let's go Kyle Lewis and let him be just their flex linebacker that does a lot of different things for them. I think that's pretty cool. I'm glad I saw him. We went Mike Washington. We went Brandon Cisse for this team. Let's see. What else do they need? They need interior offensive line. I don't know who's here for that. We made a reach on we didn't really reach. I mean, he'll be much higher on Jalen Farmer. He'll be a third rounder in my opinion either way. They have a tight end, wide receiver. We haven't gone wide receiver yet. Let's see. Burks is a really, really fun wide receiver that should not be on the board, in my opinion. Reggie Virgil also is a guy that I'm much higher on than this board. And Cyrus Allen, I'm higher on him too. So let's go with Deion Burks. I think that, they adding an athlete would be good for them. So, Arizona Cardinals. Recap for the second draft. Arizona Cardinals go Sonny Styles because I think he's a blue chip player in this class and deserves to go early. And there's not a lot of blue chip players in this class. There's only two, in my opinion. R. Mason Thomas for edge rushing, giving them some extra juice. And then Brian Parker II to play either center or guard for them. And then the Rams go Jamal McCoy because he's too good to be picked this late. Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. And then Kyle Lewis out of feeding families. Sion Young to the San Francisco 49ers and Chris Bell. I like that a lot. And then Brandon Cisse, Mike Washington Jr., and Deion Burks going to your reigning champs, the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to do one more draft, and then we're going to get the heck out of here. So let's start it up. We're going to be going, we went linebacker and we've gone edge for this team. So we're going to go right tackle this time around. We're going to go Francis Mauigoa. He's the consensus right tackle to be picked, so we're going to go there. I think I have Fano one spot higher. Let's actually look. I'll show you. We have Fano 2 spots higher. That doesn't mean that's what the NFL has, unfortunately. Carnell Tate being on the board, and I can't go, God dug it. I can't go wide receiver here, I don't think. But I really don't know what else they need. We went Jamal McCoy. We went wide receiver. They don't need a corner the same way. They don't need a linebacker at this point. No quarterbacks are on the board. Don't really want to go defensive line, in my opinion. It's like rotational piece defensive line. It's too early for that. So, when Carnell Tate stares you in the face, can you just not take him? Dylan Thieneman is interesting. They could go there, adding another piece in the back end. But, maybe they go Kenyon Sadiq and just play 14 personnel. and just don't play running backs. No, let's go Cardinal Tate and just say screw it. Sorry, they would play running backs in 14 personnel. But yeah, let's go Cardinal Tate and just say screw it. Because it is what it is. When Cardinal Tate falls to you there, you have to go with him. Okay, San Francisco, we have gone offensive tackle Caleb Lomu, and we went edge Zion Young. So that's 2 of the positions that they had to fill. And of course, there's no wide receiver in sight. Wow. All right. Casey Concepcion went at 22, Omar Cooper at 21, and Denzel Boston at 20. Okay, they knew we wanted to go wide receiver for this team. We cannot do that now because I'm not picking Zachariah Branch at 27, unfortunately. Now, we could go edge. I think Akeem Mesidor still being on the board is interesting because he's pro-ready. He helps you now, and this team is obviously ready to win right now. Keldrick Falk actually fits them better. My comp for him is Micah Williams, and I wonder what the comp is here. DeForest Buckner, interesting. So he's going to play defensive line, interior. But Keldrick Falk makes some sense. TJ Parker is another one, and Zion Young, who I'm higher on personally. But Akeem Mesidor is going to go to a team that is ready to win now. And unfortunately for other teams, he fell this far. So Akeem Mesidor is going to the San Francisco 49ers. We could not make wide receiver happen because apparently all the wide receivers were gone. Okay, so Seattle here, I think they could add some edge rush juice. Cassius Howe being on the board sounds like a player that they would like to go with. Like, it's funny because you can kind of pencil in Seattle to do something weird. And I think Cassius Howe is going to go between, right at the end of the first round and like right at the end of the second round. Like, I have no idea. There's a wide range of margins depending on how teams see his like length and stuff. But Seattle's not scared of picking outliers. And I think, they would do that. The juice is what you want, right? You want the pass rush juice. You don't really care if he plays first and second down. You only want him in third down. They have DeMarcus Lawrence. They have Leonard Williams. They have Derek Hall and Iwosu. So to play those early downs, like you go with Cassius Howe, you're just getting him for the end of the series. He's going to get you out the field. So let's go Cassius Howe and give them like an electric pass rusher. Arizona, we went Francis Mauigoa, so we don't have to go right tackle here. Ty Simpson is on the board, so we will be going Ty Simpson. Thank God something fell our way based on how we were trying to do it. So Ty Simpson to Arizona, give them a quarterback. And then the next team, I believe, is the Rams. No, San Francisco. Okay. San Fran went Akeem Mesidor. Their edge, they either know to go right tackle or wide receiver. Too bad. There are no offensive tackles at this point. That's why you have to pick them early. Everybody's going to be, the offensive tackles are going to come off the board. There might be 7 in the first round, in my opinion. 7, right? 6 or 7. I can't remember. I think it's 7. Yeah, with Cade Proctor. So Chris Bell at wide receiver, Elijah Surratt. I think Chris Bell, though, just like he's the guy. I've actually already picked him here, I think, but like he's that guy on that side. So we're going to Chris Bell again. He just makes sense for that point at this point in the draft for a San Francisco team. If you want the upside for sure. Now, the Rams, they went Carnell Tate. They can't go right tackle because it's too late. Could go edge or inside linebacker, I think are both options. We haven't gone edge at this point for them. I love Joshua Josephs. He could give you the juice. Josiah Stewart is his NFL comp. Wow. All right. Well, we know they like that guy. Also, Byron Young is a ex-Tennessee player that's very similar in my opinion. So we're going to go with Joshua Josephs. I'm much higher on Joshua Josephs on our board. Now, Cassius Howe. Seattle's on the board here. Jadarian Price still being on the board? Okay, so normally the pick would automatically be Jadarian Price at this point because some people are mocking Jadarian Price to them in the first round. But because we went running back last time here, I kind of want to look around. Corner? Is there a corner or a safety that makes some sense? Not really. I mean, I still think Chandler Rivers. But at the same time, we're talking about consensus-wise, Chandler Rivers is a little bit farther down. Jadarian Price has probably got to be the answer. But we did go running back, so duplicating it is kind of sad. Now, Arizona gets their quarterback and their right tackle. What do they do next? They probably need to go get a front 7 guy. Derek Moore staring me in the face. LT Overton is not an edge. He's a defensive end, especially if he were to go to Arizona. So Derek Moore makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Josiah Trotter still on the board. My goodness. We did not go linebacker yet. We did not go edge yet. Derek Moore kind of adds, I think, a little bit more dynamic because he's going to be able to rush the passer. He had 9.5 sacks last year. Yeah, let's go with Derek Moore. He's a comp to Boye Mafe. Heck yeah, like that comp. So Derek Moore to the Arizona Cardinals. Guy that I'm much higher on. He's like 44th on our big board. And then the Rams have gone Joshua Josephs and Carnell Tate. There's no offensive tackle here. I think you just keep adding talent. Ooh. Oh, Ted Hurst actually fell to us this time. Okay. So Jalen Kilgore is interesting. Genesis Smith is actually really interesting. I don't think they have a Genesis Smith type on this defense. They do not. So to me, Genesis Smith He had a 42.5-inch vert, 418 3-cone, 20-yard. I mean, he's terrible at run defense, and I just don't know that the Rams ever will be okay with that. But the pass defense that he has, the coverage skills that he has, the athleticism he has, he's much higher on our board because of those things. Because I just kind of see Kalen Bullock, and I think this is the type of defense that could get the most out of him, similar to Kalen Bullock. Because I was not high on Kalen Bullock, and then he went to a defense that did not need him to play any run defense, and that's kind of what I see with the Rams. So let's do it. Let's go Genesis Smith. I'm overthinking it at this point. We're one pick away. Let's see. Jadarian Price and Cassius Howell. We're definitely going to go with a cornerback, right? Dalen Everett makes a bunch of sense, in my opinion, for this team. They also like tall, athletic guys. Ephesians Priceock has been moving up boards. Ran a 4.45. I think he's been going up boards pretty good. So he's an option. I liked Hezekiah, but he's going to play a little bit inside. So Dalen Everett, man, sticks out. Willie sticks out. What do we have? Devin Marshall is underrated. Just saying. Let's go look at the safety group. Because Jalen Kilgore still being there. Man, Jalen Kilgore plus Nicky Manwari, just having both nickels from that team and letting Devin Witherspoon play outside. But truly, I just think you have to go Dalen Everett. I think he just makes too much sense for how this team wants to play. Cool. Okay. So Arizona Cardinals get a offensive tackle this time with Francis Mauigoa. They get their quarterback of the future in Ty Simpson. We'll see if that pans out. And Mr. Derek Moore to add to their edge rush room. And then the Rams go with Carnell Tate, which he shouldn't be there at 13, but if he is there, I think just similar to me, I actually have Jordan Tyson higher, but both of those guys, I feel like you can run the card in pretty quickly if either of them are on the board. Joshua Josephs is a add in the edge rush division, in the pass rush division. He just gets after the quarterback. So you add that on third down, allow even Jared Verse to play some, 4-eye at times and come down and play 5 technique and rush next to him is going to be crazy. And then Genesis Smith, I think that they can mask his deficiencies on this team. 49ers, Akeem Mesidor, pro ready, and the 49ers are ready to win now. And then you add Chris Bell. This is where we expect Trent Williams to be on the team and playing, so that's the big confidence here. And Chris Bell adding to that wide receiver room that kind of fell apart and then got put back together, but not as good. Next up is going to be the Seattle Seahawks, Cassius Howell, Jadarian Price, and Dalen Everett. Jadarian Price going at 64 when he's being mocked to them at 32 is kind of crazy. I think that was a really good steal on their part. So that was 3, I believe. I hope I can count. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. It was a lot of fun to do this one. The NFC West was, like I said, one of the best divisions in football last year. They had 3 of the top 4 NFC teams came out of this division. We should see fireworks again this year. Arizona, I'm sorry, but you have some rebuilding to do before you catch up to these teams, in my opinion. At the same time, this is a great division. Brought home the Lombardi Trophy, won the Super Bowl last year for the Seattle Seahawks. So it's a lot of good stuff going on here. If y'all liked it, if y'all like this video, please go like and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It really helps out. And then also, get in the comment section if you're a fan of one of these teams or if you're not, and tell me what you liked about my picks or didn't like about my picks. I try to give you as many scenarios as possible, of course, and that's how the NFL draft is going to go. So get ready, get excited, and hopefully all of these teams do well in the draft. So I will see y'all in the next one. I appreciate it.